Alright, in this video I want to take a look at Bitcoin, see how things on Market Cypher have developed since my last video. The last video I posted was on November 9th, so about 13 days ago. And tomorrow is Thanksgiving. A lot of people are going to be busy. Potentially a lot of people are going to be unable to manage their positions if price starts dumping down towards their long stop loss. And there is some historical data that, sometimes we do get dumps on Thanksgiving. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think we'll pump or dump on Thanksgiving, or do you think it'll be crabs for Thanksgiving dinner? Let me know down in the comments. So the last time I made a video was on the 9th. That was right around when we put in this high up here. We got to move into a significant zone that I had marked out. But we did front run the point of control that I had marked out ever so slightly. It's the point of control of this bull market range. And it is slightly different across different exchanges. I think Binance's is a little bit higher, but I can check that right now. I have that marked out too. So yeah, Binance is 38,700 and Bybit is 38,800. However, Binance actually put in a higher high than Bybit. So Binance is at 38,480-ish for the high, and Bybit is at 38,060. So actually a pretty significant difference there. And you can see they are at the same price right now. But yeah, it's interesting that Binance put in a higher high than Bybit did. And it actually came very close to that point of control. So yeah, either way, we kind of front ran the point of control, but we did hit into a very significant area of resistance. And in my last video, I was looking at Market Cypher. One of the things I was looking at was the daily time frame. I was saying the daily still looks pretty bullish, even though momentum is coming out here. The money flow is still very thick. It is not diverging with price. Money flow is continuing to put in higher highs as price puts in higher highs. And you can see right now, money flow is kind of coming down a little bit, but that could just be a retracement. And we have not seen a divergence yet because the high was put in right here. So money flow made a higher high along with price. But we did definitely see a momentum div here. And, that along with the 4-hour was kind of making me think we may see either a retracement or we may see price range here for a little bit before getting a retracement, because it did seem like some of the, medium to higher term time frames were topping out a bit. So if we go to the 4-hour, we were definitely seeing some divergences as we put in higher highs into that area of resistance. We saw divs with momentum. We saw divs with money flow, where we were when I made my last video. Since then, momentum and money flow have continued to the downside. Momentum put in a lower low right here, and money flow has gotten very thin around the zero line. It is hugging the zero line right now, kind of going from purple to blue, just, not really doing much of anything, but overall it has decreased significantly. And it does seem like we probably will see this money flow continue to the downside. If we zoom in a little bit, right now, 4-hour money flow is actually putting in a lower low than any of these lows that we saw below the zero line. So that is not a good sign. Also, if we look at the VWAP right now is having an outward curve. That is kind of a sign of weakness towards this move to the upside. If it were, more curved to the inside, something like this, where you can see kind of the momentum increasing as it gets closer to the zero line, that is a sign of strength. But since it is kind of curving to the outside here, it kind of looks like it wants to do something like this, and it's kind of showing that this potential bottom of this wave is not very strong. And you can also see that in the momentum wave, how it wanted to start clipping off here, but then kind of took another turn to the outside. It looks very jagged, and yeah, it doesn't look like this wave wants to top out just yet. And we can go back in time. I want to take a look at this uptrend that Bitcoin has been on basically since the bear market lows. And let's just take a look at all the times where we saw something similar to what we see over here, where we see money flow and momentum get a very sharp move to the upside and then kind of a slow bleed effect, what usually results from that. So I can go back and circle a few examples here. I think this right here would be an example. I think potentially this would be its own example here, and this is another good example back here. So starting from the furthest one back, we saw money flow and momentum get a sharp move to the upside, very aggressive, and then we had that slow bleed effect. Now during that slow bleed effect, price actually continued to put in higher highs, but it was just barely, compared to the previous break. We were not getting aggressive breaks above the last higher high. We were basically wicking the highs, barely putting in higher highs and diverging that whole time. And we did get a retracement from that eventually. Once money flow crossed the zero line, is pretty much when we started this retracement to the downside. And we did get a little trigger wave with the money flow. Money flow came back into the green, but printed a smaller wave that actually brought price up to put in a higher high. But from there, with the continuation of divergence that we saw here, that led to a deeper retracement ultimately, and from there that ended up being the bottom. Money flow bottomed out and began turning to the upside again once we continued the uptrend. So that's one example. Back here, we kind of saw something similar. Now, the money flow was not as aggressive back here. It did not get as high as it did here or here, but we did see a divergence with money flow as we put in this higher high. Price kind of stalled out as money flow started to decrease, and we didn't really get much of a retracement from this, but we saw price slowing down. We then got like another trigger wave with money flow right here, a smaller wave that ended up putting in a higher high. And, from there, money flow kind of just became weak. It started, bobbing up and down above the zero line, and price action wasn't really doing much that whole time. It was in a downtrend, but it, was a very drawn out one. It took a very long time for this retracement to actually happen. And with this example, very similar thing. As money flow begins to decrease, price continues to put in higher highs ever so slightly. Price is diverging from money flow and momentum. We're putting in divergences at the highs. And once money flow crosses into the purple, which was right here, we then began retracing. And this was a pretty drawn out retracement at first. We then eventually got a very aggressive move to the downside. So ultimately, it seems like the trend is once the money flow starts to bleed out on the 4-hour, price starts to slow down. And, in two of these examples, we got very drawn out retracements from that. In one of them, we got like a quick retracement followed by, a higher high for some reason, and then another retracement. But ultimately, it seems like, once the money flow really starts bleeding out on the 4-hour, it is around a topping point. Price is around a topping point. With the 4-hour in mind, and also just going off of my larger ideas here, the fact that I think a retest of these highs and, just in general this range after breaking out of it, I think that is likely. If we're going to see continued upside, that we would retest this area first. Maybe we start to see that retracement soon. Maybe we are at a topping point here. And the 4-hour retracements that we were looking at, some of them took a very long time. Maybe we continue ranging up here. Maybe we even put in a higher high and, continue ranging up in this area and then get like a very slow, drawn out retracement. But also, I think that us coming down very quickly is also a possibility because there is reason to come lower. I mean, just looking at price action here, I think we have a very easy to sweep line of liquidity below us, just basically a bunch of stop losses down below, and right below that is a large area of inefficiency. So I would not be surprised if, once we start this retracement, if it's a pretty swift one. So I don't know if it's going to be a long drawn out retracement, but that is, kind of what we've been seeing recently, kind of other than here. Now, granted, this was in a ranging environment. We're not necessarily in a ranging environment right now, at least not on the higher time frames. We are in a lower time frame range. I think I may expect something more like this, maybe more choppy price action, more aggressive kind of, moves meant to throw people off. I would probably expect something more like this than, a very slow, drawn out retracement. And so that being said, for my more longer term positions, really I'd be more interested in shorts at this point, I think. We are at resistance, and we are seeing signs that are potentially hinting towards price topping out, and I think it makes sense to retrace down to this zone, possibly even lower. So, yeah, right now I am kind of focused on swing shorts at the moment, and I, unfortunately got stopped out, literally, wicked out to the dollar of my short trade that I entered up here This wick right here literally came up right to my stop loss, wicked me out before going lower. So I'm not in a short at the moment, but there are a few ideas that I would consider for a short. First off, we've been putting in lower highs here, so maybe we don't come up to, take out the high. Maybe we don't get one of those kind of plays. Maybe we just get a little retracement here and then continue lower. So I am watching local price action. If I see a reason where I want to short, then I may take that. I would take it as like a scalp or day trade and lock it in, and then just see if I can hold some of it for more of a dump if we're going to get that. That's kind of how I approach swing trades anyway. I take them on lower time frames and then just look to hold them. So, obviously this trade up here probably would have been a better position to hold, but, if this local downtrend is going to hold, then potentially I could stay in a position if I enter it right here. So I am looking for shorts right now. I think I would really like it if we can come up to take out this high and maybe even reject off that point of control. That would be very nice. But I'm just looking for opportunities basically to enter scalp shorts and lock in profits and then see if I can hold some of the trade for lower. That's kind of my approach right now. I'm not really interested in any swing longs right now. I am scalping long. Just because we're in an area of resistance doesn't mean I won't take long trades, but I'm probably not going to look to hold them for as long. So that's kind of my outlook on Bitcoin right now. I don't really have any trading plans that I'm super interested in right now. Like I said, if we take out this high and we have confirmations there, that's something I'd be interested in. If we get confirmations anywhere around the high of this range, like around the value area high, that's an area I would be interested in looking for shorts. All right, well, I think that's about everything I wanted to go over in this video. So thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like, subscribing, and leaving a comment. All of that helps to support my channel, and I really appreciate everyone that does that. And I will see you all in the next video.